So hello guys, this is a video that we're making as a kind of flipped classroom. You're going to get all of your information today from video rather than from my presence. And we've got at least two, possibly three videos that we're going to put up today. The first one is this one, which is an introduction to it. Why are we doing this? Well, in part because I want you to use media to respond to media. So one of the things I want you to do is to create a video if you can. Get a webcam, use your webcam on the laptop, and upload this as a response to my YouTube video with one of the three, either one, anyone, and we'll continue the conversation that way. Second is because I made a mistake or I didn't communicate clearly with Legault, and Legault needs me to come to Wednesday's class in the interdisciplinary class and explain to them the kinds of materials they have available to them to do media projects. Because I'm going to be working with Legault's group on media projects, I need to fill in for you a little bit more about your media project. Most of you are working on a mass media project at the moment. And there are a couple of things that you need to do. One of them is you need to create, for any mass media project, you need to create the central message of your project. Based upon the work of Zettel in his video basics, I've come to call this central message the defined process message. This means that it's a message that you create before you ever get started. It is the message that you want your video, your audio, your book, whatever it is that you do in mass media to carry. This isn't a message in a semantic sense, such as a text that is consistent of words and phrases and sentences and the like that have meaning. Of course your video will have meaning. Of course your project will have meaning. But this is a message that you develop looking at your project from the standpoint of the audience. What is it that you want your audience to experience, to feel, to take home from your video? It can be something emotional, it can be something aesthetic, it can be something intellectual. For the moment though, put aside the intellectual and the aesthetic judgment and focus only on the emotional. If we focus on our audience and ask what we want our audience to feel when they finish with our project, whether it's video or it's audio or it's a book or it's a painting or whatever it is, if we focus on what we want the audience to feel, we will have a much easier time developing a defined process message. This defined process message should be able to be stated in one sentence. It should carry, if it's going to be an emotional message, it should carry some variation upon the four basic emotions. You might have studied these in interpersonal. If you were taking a course in interpersonal with me, you would have studied these four basic emotions. So I don't know what Dr. Maker does. But the four basic emotions are sad, bad, mad, or glad. If you start with those four basic emotions, you can derive all kinds of other emotions from those four basic emotions. For example, sad could be anything from melancholy to clinically depressed. Mad could be anything from angry, distressed, to furious. Glad could be anything from mildly amused to overjoyed. You decide what you want. Think in terms of those four basic emotions and derive the emotion that you want your audience to feel from those four basic emotions. Keep that in mind. I want my audience to feel, name the emotion, by viewing, reading, watching, listening. Once you have that down, go ahead and create your project. When you're done with your project, play it before you upload it, before you put it in a place where the rest of us can view it. Play it for yourself and your team partners. Ask them to respond to it emotionally. This is actually quite difficult because we have a great deal invested in projects that we make. And we know how we want people to feel. So it's difficult for us to get to where we actually feel what is actually there to actually be experienced. You might want us to feel glad, and you might think for yourself, this is, in fact, a video that makes me feel very happy. But ask yourself, is this how the audience is feeling? What are signs that the audience would be cued in to feel glad, or some variation on glad? Look carefully at your video. Evaluate it carefully. Does it really convey what you hope it will convey? When you have finished and you have done a reflection of your own video, audio, or whatever project, write that down. What was the actual process message that you derived from watching, listening, reading? What did you feel? What did you see? What were the things that were important in that video, audio, whatever? Write that down. That actual process message needs to be compared with your defined process message. If you compare them accurately, if you compare them realistically, there should be a difference between your defined and your actual process message. And what I want you to do in the reflection paper that should accompany your project, I want you to reflect upon it and to tell me, why is it that there's a difference between the way you define the process and the way it actually came about? What makes a difference in a message? Well, many times it's because our equipment doesn't live up to the vision that's inside our head. We might, for example, as I was talking to Dana, I came up with this example. We might, for example, go on vacation to the Grand Canyon. And in our head, we see a beautiful high-definition picture of the Grand Canyon with a helicopter swooping down into the canyon, with shots from high above looking down at the Colorado River rushing below, with shots of the Donkey Trail, with all kinds of interesting shots. And we say to ourselves, I want my video not to be just an ordinary vacation video, but I want my audience to feel the grandeur and the breathtaking nature of standing at the rim and in the canyon and looking over the canyon from high above. When we actually put the video together, we might find that our final product is no more than a good vacation video. The sun wasn't shining the day we were there. We couldn't get the helicopter. If we got in the helicopter, we had to shoot through the plastic. We couldn't see the canyon very well. We never got on the donkey. All kinds of reasons for it to be less than what we wanted. Part of those reasons may be the camera that we used or the equipment. Maybe we're without a boom or a jib. Maybe we don't have the sound equipment that we wanted. Maybe the helicopter didn't work. All kinds of things that will take it from being what we envisioned it to be to what it actually turns out to be. In your reflection, you should reflect upon why it came out the way it did and be able to describe the difference between the defined process message and the actual process message. Some of it is because you just don't have the equipment or the skill to realize the vision that you have in your head. Some of it may be that because in the shooting, you discovered something different. And this is when it gets very exciting. Sarah Daring is talking about doing a video, a documentary of the cochlear implant and the response to it among the deaf community. And I'm not sure where she's coming from, but you might start out in something like this thinking that the deaf community would embrace this technology. You might discover while you're shooting that the deaf community, in fact, thinks this is a bad thing, an alienating thing, something that will alienate them from their children. You might then change your process message as you're going along from the cochlear, I want my audience to see and feel that the cochlear implant is a beneficial device for the deaf community, to I want my audience to see and feel how the deaf community has mixed feelings or negative feelings about the cochlear implant. Discovering while you're shooting, while you're working, is one of the most important parts of becoming a good media worker. You're also going to have to collaborate. Part of what you're doing, and this is deliberate on my part of what you're doing is collaborating with others on a project. Listen to one another. Listen carefully to one another, particularly in this phase of evaluation. After you finished your project on April 26th and we view them all, you'll be writing this brief paper in which you state your defined process message, look at your actual process message, and account for the reasons for the difference. I'm more concerned about the reasons for the difference and your recognizing those than I am about you actually doing something with a process message where you stick to the message from beginning to end. Frankly, I don't think that's a very interesting kind of process to go through. To stick to the same message from beginning to end and learn nothing in the process of creating, it's not a very interesting thing at all. Well, this is the first video. I'm going to finish this one, then post it, and you'll have a chance to respond to it. Thanks.